Hello, hello, and welcome. Welcome on into the Swear Word. I'm your host, Brandon Swear, and hey, this is a podcast for the Chilli community, by the Chilli community. Regardless of your spice tolerance, this is the place for you. Man, up tonight, we have an amazing podcast ready to go. We have two sauces on deck for Hot or Not, as well as a great guest locked and loaded, and a very fun game planned. But episode 128 starts now. What's going on, Swear Nation? So glad to have everyone here, whether you're tuning in on YouTube, Spotify, Rumble, or Apple Podcasts. Thank you so much for making this show what it is. Continue to share this out with other like-minded chili heads or individuals that are just curious about the world of hot, because this is where they can find everything to do with the world of hot. So, up tonight, we have two sauces on deck. These are from t0tsauce. We will be jumping into those on Hot or Not, as well as we have Royce McCain locked and loaded as our guest tonight. We're going to be learning everything to do with Royce, how he got started, how he became a multi-belt winning League of Fire competitor, as well as his great growing, different methods, and how that whole process has really been for him, and just gaining a better understanding of what growing and the spice life is like in Africa. So let's do this. Let's go ahead and jump on over to Hot or Not. Welcome on into Hot or Not. Up tonight, we have two sauces on deck. Both of these are from t0tsauce, so we'll be diving into these here. But as always, I do not like to read the ingredients ahead of time. I like to let my taste buds do the exploration and really kind of figure out what I'm picking up, and we learn all together what the actual ingredients are within the products. So I also do not break things down in a 1 to 10 scale. I do everything out of 1 out of 5. That's really based off of 5 different categories. Those categories are heat, aroma, flavor, versatility, burn. Yes, heat is different than burn. Heat is that max 30-second initial punch that you're getting. Burn is that post 30 seconds, where it sits, how it sits. Does it migrate? Does it amplify? And from there, I add those up and average them out, and that gives us our total swear word rating. So let's do this to go ahead and check out the very first product, Unicorn Tears. As you can see here, overall great labeling, great color to the sauce, a nice red hue. Go ahead and jump on into this one and check it on out. This does have a perforation on the cellophane. So it looks like a high flow consistency sauce. We'll go ahead and take this flow restrictor off here. Let's give it a good pour. So here we go, Unicorn Tears from t0tsauce. Nice high flow rate. Great aroma. Smells a little bit sweet, a little bit of a savory note. That beer undertone is very nice. It adds a layer of complexity to it. There's a sweet note towards the end of that finish on the aroma, and what smells like maybe a little bit of garlic. So cheers. Oh man, that is tasty as can be. Right off the bat, kind of a silky, nice, smooth, comforting undertone. With that comes this bright, bold, savory depth, almost like a umami-esque. You're getting a bright pepper pop. It's definitely a super hot, because I can feel it by the way that it's gradually building. I'm going to go ahead and say this is like a ghost or a ghost variety of some sort, or cross of some sort, isolated and focused towards the back of the mouth, back of the throat. As far as the overall heat goes on this, if you're just starting out, this is definitely going to be one that's going to be pushing the limits, and possibly something that feels a bit out of reach if you're just starting out. If you're working on your own personal best, this is going to be a nice medium to medium high, dependent on where your own tolerance is at. This one is going to go absolutely amazing on anything like burgers, tacos, pizzas, sandwiches, and this is going to be an absolute screamer on pretty much any kind of like a barbecue dish, Asian dishes as well. Protein and rice, protein and veggie is going to be absolutely crucial here. You get that nice hoppy taste from this overall sauce, a nice level of sweetness, a nice little cut of all savory depth, and a large amount of overall flavor from the peppers, but also the heat from those peppers that really continues to amplify what you have going on. Ingredients for Unicorn Tears: filtered water, intrinsic chubby unicorn IPA, white vinegar, apple cider vinegar, kosher salt, garlic powder, brown sugar, celery seed, soy sauce, Worcestershire, peppercorn, fermented garlic, infused honey, avocado oil, and xanthan gum. All right, heat coming in at 3.62. We have aroma of 3.75. Flavor of 4.2, versatility of a 4, burn of a 3.88 for a total swear word rating of 3.89. There we go. An amazing sauce. That is Unicorn Tears. Let's go ahead and check out the next one. Tots and Prayers. So as you can see here, it is a smaller bottle, but from what I have been told, this is the hottest offering from t0tsauce. So we're going to be diving into this one here together. I will also say that the selection of this sauce here, what availability is still around, I would act fast if this sounds interesting to you. This is, yes, a 2-ounce bottle. Yes, it does have a perforation on the cellophane. It does have a stopper grommet on the top of the lid. Pretty thick sauce from what I can see here. There's definitely a lot of seasoning, a lot of pepper bits going on. It is a bright red color to this overall sauce, a mash style. Ooh, definitely some Superhots going on in this. Very bright, very noticeable aroma, chinense aroma going on here. Smells like a little bit of a smoky note maybe to this. Maybe onion or garlic. Enough stalling. Cheers. Tots and Prayers from t0tsauce. Nice texture to this overall sauce. Very nice body and delivery. While it is very, super hot profile, flavor forward in the sense of the different Superhots that you're picking up, it is also got a nice layer of savory smokiness to it and just this accent kiss of what tastes like maybe some garlic or some onion going on in there. And wow, oh wow. So the second it hits the front of the mouth, it is very soothing, very calm, much of a false sense of security that you're gaining from this. This is going to be geared towards those individuals that are constantly working on your own personal best. This is going to be a nice high heat sauce for you all day long. My lips, gums, tongue, front of the mouth, everything there, still burning, still tingling, still radiating. Mid portion of the mouth on back to the throat is where it really ramps up, amplifies the heat, and I can feel it just like a torch just blowing back there. What this would go on, I believe this would go great on anything that you're wanting to add heat to without really disrupting the overall flavor of what you have going on, because this is going to be able to add that layer of heat, amplified heat that you want, as well as adding just a slight level of smoky and a slight level of like an onion or a garlic taste to what you have. Now, this would go great with tacos, pizzas, burgers, sandwiches, quesadillas, enchiladas, kind of proteins and rice, proteins and veggies. Really, it's not limited in that realm. The main thing this would not be geared towards is desserts. Ingredients for Tots and Prayers are fermented Carolina Reapers, ghost peppers, habanero and garlic, smoked habaneros, habanero powder, ghost/habanero pepper tincture, apple cider vinegar, white vinegar, and parsley. All right, Tots and Prayers, heat coming in at 3.59, aroma of 3.8, a flavor of 4.19. We have a versatility of a 4, a burn of a 4.15 for a total swear word rating of 3.95. There we go. An amazing sauce there. That is Tots and Prayers. If you would like to pick up either of these sauces featured here tonight, I'll have the direct links down below for those, as well as a link to the main site so you can check out the full list of amazing products from t0tsauce. But let's do this. Let's go ahead and jump on over to tonight's interview. Hey, Royce, how's it going?
Hey, Brandon, all good yourself?
Doing good. Glad to have you here. I've heard and seen, of course, amazing things that you've been able to do online and heard great things from others. Most recently, Stephen Kurgan, as he had his adventure out that way, being able to get to know you, and he just had nothing but amazing things to say. So honored to have you here. Learn more about
Thank you
what
very
you have
much.
going on, and obviously share with those around the world that are watching and listening who you are, so now they have a better insight on that as well. So welcome.
Cool. Thank you so much for having me. And yeah, Stephen is a great guy, great competitor. It was nice to actually meet him beforehand, supply him some fresh super hots so that he's prepped for his competition. Because he's obviously, when he took part in the competition, he actually was coming out of winter. So not too many pods available there. So hopefully we helped him a little bit. But yeah, like a guy, very nice.
Yeah, yeah, he's definitely a very kind guy. He likes to keep to himself. Nothing wrong with that at all. And to be able to have good fellow chili heads like yourself to be able to help him get that preparation that he needs right beforehand. And of course, I'm sure he also enjoyed being able to try some pods from just I talk about this often as Americans. We're so used to like trying different pods from different states, different growers, different regions, but it's totally different game when you're talking pods grown in a different country because obviously the growing conditions are so much different. The way at which they're fed and all these things play a factor, and it's very eye opening and refreshing for those individuals that like to gain a better understanding of the different varieties and how even a single pepper cross or pepper type can, vary just based on regions. So,
Definitely. I think, like South Africa, for example, we've got hot weather. I mean, I wouldn't say, I mean, some places as hot as some of your hotter states, but generally not as hot as what you guys have. But the humidity is there. We've got a
mhm.
lot of places in South Africa where the humidity's up, and I'm sure it also the peppers favor those conditions, you know. So um, it, it's a much of a muchness, really, you know. But like I will be flying across to Italy next month, and I'm interested to see how their peppers compare to what we can grow in South Africa. You know.
Absolutely. I'm interested to see what your overall thought is and opinion on how they compare to South Africa because that was also something that I asked whenever Paul and Matt were on and we were talking about League of Fire matches all around the world
Yeah,
and really
watch
just kind
that.
of gauging the overall who grows the hottest peppers. And so they both had mentioned that Italy was up there as far as one of the hottest places. So definitely
I,
excited to see
I,
how that pans out.
I definitely watched that with Paul and Matt, and I'm also interested to find out how hot they are because it's definitely interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, not to jump too far ahead, obviously, one thing I always like to lead off with whenever having someone new on for the podcast for the very first time, which is what got you into the world of pot, and then what was that catapulting moment where you decided, you know what, I'm gonna start growing these chilies and I'm gonna start competing.
Okay, so let me go back as far as when I was a young kid. Let's just say all of my young years, even under 10 years old. My parents, we had a lovely home and we had peppers or chilies growing in the garden, is what we call them. South Africa, we normally say chili, America, pepper. The rest of the world, you know,
Yep.
it's all the same thing. But we had these chilies growing in South Africa and we called them like devil chilies. So these devil chilies actually referred to as your African bird's eye or peri peri. So we had these bushes growing all around the garden. They grew effortlessly. Just you could plant them and drop them. You wouldn't have to fertilize them. They just grew. And so I used to pick those chilies for my dad to make his chili chutney. He made this amazing chili chutney, which I got hooked on at a very young age. And he also used to rub those chilies in my mouth whenever I was naughty. So um, yeah, like I would feed them to my brother, and my dad would feed them back to me. You know, this the same story. So I loved those, and they've got like a unique taste to them. They very got like this almost peppery, but you know, a very sharp, burny taste. And it's something that I really enjoyed. So that was part of my childhood. So in 2017, my wife and I we bought a place, bought a house, our first house, and I think it was probably about 2018. I was looking for something to do, a hobby, And I thought, chilies. Let me grow some chilies. So I went to like the garden center, got um, a generic packet of seeds. I think they were cayenne or something like that. Planted them in the garden. I followed all the trends like the fish emulsion and Epsom salt and all those things. And the plants grew pretty well. I got lots of pods off them, and that was 2018. Then 2019 happened, and I think I was invited to become an admin for a chili group in South Africa. Because so how it all happens is when I get interested in something, I put a ton of research into it. So I think people thought I had more knowledge than I already did. But anyways, became an admin of this chili group, Chili Fan South Africa. And since then, I, I found out that you get habaneros, you get all kinds of crazy chilies. Habaneros was just the start.
Yep.
And then I found other pages on Facebook. I saw guys like Brian Townsend, Rich Blood, all these other guys, Kang Star and stuff like that on Pepper Lovers. And then in 2019, I had done research on YouTube and I found Kang Star's channel. Okay. Him and his crack key and his indoor grows. And I was so amazed by this hydroponics,
Yep.
And I got straight into that. I started growing chilies and crack key under lights, or the old fluorescent lights in my shed. It was crazy. It took off from there. But yeah, basically, you did ask me about how I got into the chili eating thing. So how that started is there was a festival that was happening in South Africa. Now, chili eating competitions in South Africa back in 2019 were very scarce. If they had one at a random festival, that was a big thing. But this was a dedicated chili festival with all the vendors and a chili eating competition. So I thought, I can eat these devil chilies, these frutescens, why not partake in a chili eating competition? So yeah, I signed up, and the only thing I had to practice with were some habaneros that I was sent from a local farmer in South Africa. He sent me these habaneros, and I practiced eating the habaneros. They were hot,
Yep.
not like that. Maybe one with a meal every day.
Yeah.
That's how I practiced, and I dealt with the pain without drinking milk or water. And I must tell you a funny story on the side here. So I had gone to a client's house to do a repair job, and she had a chili bush in her backyard. And I was so intrigued seeing this chili bush. It was pretty big. I was like, habanero chili tree. And one of my colleagues said to me, "Hey, Royce, you like chilies? Have a try of this habanero." So I said, no worries. I handle it. It's actually the first habanero I had. And about 20 seconds in, I was like, I must be quite strong because there's no burn at all. Next minute, like maybe 30 seconds later, just the ears started like burning, and it was quite painful. Drinking water, normal story. And that actually wasn't even the worst part. The worst part was I hadn't eaten lunch yet. So when that habanero settled in the stomach, the cap cramps got me for the first time. It was excruciating.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, so I entered this competition, and it was the first time seeing Superhots, like even holding Superhots. And I managed to win the competition. And I saw the competition next to me, and they were the other competitors, and they were all suffering. And I was like, it must have been adrenaline rush or something like that. But I wasn't feeling what they looked like,
Yep.
And after winning that competition, then I realized, I must have like a higher tolerance. It definitely is some of the adrenaline because in the competitions, the nerves go crazy.
Yep.
But that's how I got into these competitions. And I've pretty much any competition I've won, I've entered, I've either won or there's only one competition that I entered that I actually came in second place due to a speed round. But you know, I enjoy the burn. I enjoy the heat and pushing myself to see how far I can go. So yeah, that's basically how it started.
Absolutely amazing. And I'm still blown away by, because like here in Texas, I can't think of, I mean, maybe the habanero, but even then that struggles. I'm fascinated, where I'm going at with this is I'm fascinated at the idea of being able to have some peppers just grow so effortlessly. So like
Yep.
having your peri peri, your bird's eye, be able to grow just without really much of anything as far as the way of taking care of it. It is mind blowing to me, and it's one of those things that if I ever find a variety that works that well here in Texas, I will just I don't know. I'd probably just block off a third of my backyard and just drop
Yeah.
seed everywhere, and just let it do its thing. But that is super cool to hear and to see, and yes, to go back even to your explanation of your dad using that to kind of by means of a punishment per se. It's interesting. Now I haven't seen too many other chili heads that are in the same parameter, but I used to bite my nails a lot as a kid. My dad would always do that whole, I'm going to put Tabasco on your nails. Well, he
Yeah.
did, and little did he know that all that did was just ate it. And I was like, oh, this hot sauce is not bad. This tastes pretty good. And
Yeah.
so that didn't really help the situation. But then that opened the ideas of, okay, well, then I can add hot sauce as I'm growing up as a kid. I'm starting to learn that hot sauce is good and I like it and how it pairs and etc. Um, so that's super cool. But at the same
Yeah.
time, flashing forward to your breakdown of first encounter with a habanero, and not really walking into that competition, not really knowing the true expectations of some of these chinense that you're going to be walking into.
That's it.
It's that had to be both a great thing and also a bad thing. Because great thing because you didn't know what to expect, so you knew you only knew what you had known prior, and so going into
Yeah.
that you weren't fearful, if you will, of what was to come. And then of course
That's it.
it's just like that's the biggest thing. It's the mental hurdle. You can clear that mental hurdle, you're good.
That's it. So I did have a bit of assistance from a chili head. You know, his company is actually called Chili Head. It's a South African based company, and he gave me some tips on what to um, take or do before I enter this competition, just to protect the inside of my stomach and things like that. So I had that in place, and I had my full fat yogurt that I ate just before the competition. Just some basic strategies, and then yeah, I I kind of like those types of things. I'm not really fearful of. It's
Yep.
just you only live once type of thing. So just do it. You
Yep.
know.
Yep, absolutely makes sense. And yeah, those speed rounds, those things. That's not my strong suit. Speed round, not my strong suit. So to hear about that, it's always one of those things. It's like, do you, as the League of Fire, or really anyone that's running an event, do you ever take away in a higher caliber round the speed round? Because obviously, as these um, chili eaters are up there, and people's tolerances are naturally just skyrocketing, definitely for those that are competing. It's like, okay, well, at what point is it too many chilies versus, and then having to need to go to the speed round? Or I feel like we're at now this level of caliber of chili eaters that are walking up to the tables that like 40 to 60, 70 pods is not going to be the end of the world for them. And, they potentially do even more. So it's like, at that point, it's like, do you just cut it off at 75? Do you cut it off at 80 and then go into the speed round? Like, Where is that fine line? But at that same time, it's like that speed is the limiting factor for so many, and it's not that they couldn't handle it. It's just, you know, a lot of people chewing fast and trying to eat that down fast is not an easy feat.
It, it is definitely not an easy feat. I'm also not necessarily the fastest eater. When it does come to speed rounds, it's quite challenging in a way because you've now got to, like, if you're not generally a fast eater, and some people are. I mean, I know people that can chow a meal uh, like like so fast that they go back for seconds and thirds, and type
Yep.
of thing. If you're not naturally a fast eater, now you got to like tell yourself you need to eat fast during the competition. It doesn't always work, but I'm definitely practicing that because it's something I need to improve on. And also, it's the amount of volume that you're trying to get down your throat when you are eating. What it does for some people is it triggers a gag reflex,
Yep.
and then everything comes out. Thankfully, I have never experienced gag reflex, so yeah, I'm happy. I'll rise to the challenge,
Yep.
But speed round is definitely. I think there's a time and place for that. So if you've got a competition where you've got like 10 super hearts and you've eaten just 10 super hearts in the competition, then you do a speed round. Now I don't think it's kind of like at that point 10 super hearts is not a good time to do it. Maybe 30, 40, 50, like you say.
Yeah.
So the speed round, just to like end the competition quickly, people when they're watching a chili eating competition, they want to see the people going. They want to see the people suffering. It's
Yep.
also part of the. It's also for the crowd. That's what
Yep.
a lot of chili heads. I know they do come to festivals and that to experience, the community and seeing the stalls and trying the products, but you'll always see a monster crowd at the in front of the stage where people are doing chili eating competition, and that's one of the main things. So don't cut it early.
Yep.
Carry on going, push it a bit, and like you say, the caliber of chili eaters now around the world has like levels are just um, skyrocketing. Where these guys can handle peppers, some people can handle 100 peppers, some people can handle 60. It's crazy, super hot peppers.
Yep.
So it does make sense if like most of the people are still on the table after 50 super odds, then it makes sense to put a speed round.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
It's
not really before that, not like from around 10 super odds and cut it short.
Yeah, for me, I'm thinking it's like anything. I think the conversation probably shouldn't even be in the. I don't know. This is where it gets hard. I think it really depends on the level at which you're competing, and I guess to that point, this is a great opportunity to point out the fact that you are a multi-belt holder. And so from that, here's where I'll kind of explain that is in the sense of I think if you're doing an amateur thing, sure, maybe going to a speed round earlier
100%.
on makes sense. Now, if you are competing at a higher level like you are, and you're going for these belt matches and you're doing all these things, you should be able to endure a lot more early on before having to rush into that speed round. So, yeah.
That's correct. That's correct.
And so
With
you have two
um,
different belts. So what are those belts for everyone that's
that's
listening?
correct. So I have got a South African chili eating champion belt. That was held actually a week before the League of Fire Africa title belt match in Cape Town. This is the South African. You know, let's
Very
go back
nice.
here a little bit. There's yeah, it's got the South African like flag
Oh,
there, all the
nice.
provinces,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. And then I've got a League of Fire Africa belt, uh, which I won in at the Festival of Fire in Cape Town. That's where I met Stephen Kurgan. He was competing for the world.
That's a beautiful belt right there. I do love the color green, so that belt stood out immediately whenever it made its appearance on social media. I was like, "Ooh, where is that one
Definitely.
from?"
The green and gold kind of goes in a combination with South Africa's colors in a sense. You know, you got the rugby team that's green and gold. You know,
Yep.
so it kind of works out. Yeah.
I like it. Do you often are those items that are on display per se at home, or do you typically do you ever take those out? Other than obviously, I would assume you take them out to some pepper competitions, but do they ever go out and about with you anywhere else?
Not really. I keep them safe because these belts are floating belts in a sense, so they have to be returned for the next competition or something like that. But
Okay.
one day I'm going to get myself a permanent belt that stays at home or wherever I can take it. But we'll be taking these belts across to compete in the League of Fire Intercontinental next month.
I like it. Now, as you've geared up for that, I guess how has that been? Are you doing consistent pushes? Are you finding yourself kind of doing a really big push and then kind of giving yourself a few days of a break? How is that overall?
So every day I eat something spicy. It's like whether it be next level heat. Let's say this. So my wife and I eat a lot of curry. Curry is a big part of South African, cuisine. We got a big population of Indian people in South Africa, and we love curry. Curry is like crazy. My wife makes a curry for me, and she says, "Sorry, I made it very hot." So I'm like, "It's got heat," and she's like dying there and sweating. So my tolerance is definitely higher, and have been keeping it high the last few months that I haven't eaten any Superhots. I mean, I did a video the other day on a live video on Cap Crew, and I was invited by Joe Grumblers and I don't know 21 Butlers or something like that until there was no one left on the screen. So I do have a slightly higher tolerance than a lot of people that I know. So it's more about maintaining it with either doing tinctures or hot sauces along the way. And then I find that I don't need to kind of have so many peppers because right now in South Africa we're in winter,
Hmm.
so nothing's growing. There's one or two farms around in the hotter regions that don't have cold, super cold winters, similar to something like Florida, where they don't have super cold winters. And they've managed to supply me with some super hot pods, and yeah, I've got a stash in my fridge there that I have a bath or two, but I will do. I'll probably do another 2 rounds of pod eating, super hot pod eating before the competition, and that'll be about it.
Okay.
And then I'll actually arrive in Italy a couple of days before the competition, so I'll just go to some of the stands at the festival, grab some fresh super hots, and give them a try beforehand. So I'm not surprised on the
Yeah.
day.
Yeah, yeah, no, makes sense to me. Very cool to hear and see, and for all those to kind of get a little bit of an insight on, what the mentality is going into a competition like that. I definitely think that this is going to be a great one. Some super high caliber competitors there, so excited to see how that one plays out. And it's hard to just pinpoint one competitor as having such a vast advantage over another just because of everyone out there is literally giving it their all, and they all are just they no one at that table didn't earn that, right? So being there
That's
is
correct.
definitely going to be a nice challenge to watch and to see how it all plays out. Yeah, no, so super excited
And
there.
yeah, definitely. And just on that topic, you'll always be surprised. There can always be one or two wild cards, people that, like not even like the pros, like randoms. So that's how you find cheerleaders, like guys or ladies that specialize in it.
Yep.
or who have a higher tolerance, because you'll get like a random that's never eaten a super hot, and next minute he's right there at the finals with you, like in the last rounds, and you're like, and anything can happen on the day because I get severe nerves before I climb on this stage. It's always what happens. It is what it is. I think it's what drives me a bit.
Yep.
But the nerves, I get shaky, and I feel like my mouth is dry, and it's just like the worst. But um, yeah, people are, like you said, people that are on the stage there, especially at a more advanced competition. They've definitely earned their way to be there. And I have watched all my competition. I've been on YouTube. I've watched all their videos wherever I've found, just to see kind of if I have any advantage there. But yeah, they're all crazy chili eaters. So yeah, I just have to see on the day, really.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely very dependent on just the way everything falls at that moment because of how committed and how focused everyone is that will be competing. So excited to see that.
Yeah.
Now, we've already kind of mentioned this a little bit, a few different times, a few different ways, but I wanted to dive into it. Growing super hot chilies in South Africa, do you find yourself doing a lot more in ground? Are you doing raised beds? Are you doing pots? Like, what does that overall breakdown look like for you?
So when I started in ground. So our property, our place that we have there doesn't have very good soil. It's got like rocky clay. So I moved into the cracky. So I started growing in cracky, and just imagine like 100 buckets with cracky plants growing out of them. They did well, but the pain comes in when you got to change the nutrients out. And it's
Yep.
not like, it's like I was watching a video the other day with Billy Chump on your channel, where he said cracky is not like the original cracky that we know. The original cracky just had one reservoir, and it sucked, the plant sucked all the nutrients in, and you had like a full grown plant. So the kind of cracky that I did was refilling that reservoir, because those plants would suck the nutrients out in less than a week.
Yep.
Now 100 plants sucking all the water out in less than a week, and having to replace it with fresh nutrients, it's a hassle.
Yep.
And also wind. If you've gone away for too long, the sun, you know, with evaporation and the plant's absorbing all the nutrients, and the plant sits there dry, the plant dies.
Yep.
So I had done that cracky for the first 3 years, like 2019, 2020, 2021. But I had experimented with a bit of soil, growing in grow bags. So how I went onto like some of these Facebook groups, and I saw the guys that were growing the best plants. And yeah, I just wanted to be like those guys, grow the best plants, the biggest plants, the most productive plants. So I watched and I followed those guys and just saw what they were doing. If you surround yourself with people that are doing what you want to do, you'll eventually achieve it. So guys like Pepper Guru and Mr. Haha, Nyan, and Brian Hamilton, and some of these guys that are growing monster plants. Yeah, I just watched them. I got to know them. I made friends with them, and I just learned from them, as well as doing my own experiments. And yeah, now I grow in the fabric pot. I do grow some in ground because I'm staying on a farm now. I've got a
Yep.
bit of a better soil here, but I prefer the grow bags because you can control everything in the grow bag.
Yeah, yeah. That's definitely something that I've seen a lot of people kind of lean more towards, even those that it can plant in ground. Like, I guess I kind of do the same. Majority of what I have is in ground. I do the Vermeil chip wood method. So basically allowing the timber, the fine chips of timber to break down over time.
Mm.
And so that's great for here in Texas because it keeps a lot of that moisture locked in as that sun's beating down. There's just enough of the wood chips there to kind of create a barrier to keep the soil temps down and the moisture in. But yes, I do have this season in particular because I had a lovely family of rabbits, I guess, decide to find refuge in my backyard
Oh, yeah.
while I was replacing the fence. And now that family of rabbits are locked in my backyard. And no matter how many times I try to get them and corral them out, the youngest rabbits do not understand the nature that when the gate is open, they can run out. I've
Yeah.
literally witnessed them jump into the fence, the solid part of the fence, repeatedly, and I'm like, I can't help this. Like there's no fixing
Oh
that.
man.
So
Yeah.
because of that, a lot of my in-ground stuff was eaten up and consumed by them, even to the point where like our cucumbers, our squash,
Oh
zucchinis, stuff
man.
like that, they went to town on arugula, all this stuff. They ravaged. And so this year, the
Crazy.
only pepper plants that really have survived, I have two in ground, for some reason did not get touched, which I'm thankful for that. And then I have two in containers, actually three in containers. Two are just looking way better than the other. The other one I'm probably going to kill next month if it doesn't perform.
Oh
But
man.
yeah, and it's very much for that reason. Like I can control that container so much easier. And yeah, to the cracky outside method idea. Um, as I was talking with Chili Chump about that, and really also thinking back to whether that be Kang's videos or just how can you do this better, because as I had also talked with him about the idea of you having those air roots. Well, if you're not on top of it, those air roots start to spread, and then you only have a small amount that are really there for the nutrient uptake. And that part's the problem. So it's like, okay, well, if you were to do that and you were to try to compete with the elements that were outside, it would almost be beneficial if you had all these other, the planting vessels, right, in a network around a giant 55-gallon trash can, and then you would just have to put feed lines at the very bottom, like plastic welded in to the
Yeah.
trash can, and just continue to fill that 55-gallon trash can, and just it would self-regulate, and you, granted, would cut down your watering time and all that, but
Definitely.
yeah, other than that, it's just I don't see how that is sustainable long term outside of like an aquaponics setup or something like that.
So I've got a good friend of mine, Brett Clenans in South Africa, and he has a Dutch bucket hydroponic system. Now the Dutch bucket, his plants are monstrous, and it's just like it kind of recirculates water in and then
Mm-hmm.
out, but with enough water in the bottom of the reservoir for the roots to sit in, so the plants don't dry out. And his plants are monsters. So he does that
Okay.
outdoors, and his plants are, I think everyone who is kind of told about that method, their plants are also doing exceptionally well. So it's not his method, but it's just something that's worked for him, and it does really well. But I like hand watering my plants. Want to see that my network go a little bit
No, you're good.
bad there. All good, all good. Sorry about that.
No, you're good.
And I like hand watering my plants. It's kind of relaxing for me. I don't even have the drip system or anything like that. I like to go to each plant, have a look, check if there's any bugs I need to spray for anything, or just apply the fertilizer, feel the soil. I'm like a pepper junkie, anything. The soil gets me excited as well. So, um, yeah.
Yeah.
But
No.
hydroponic outdoors is definitely it's a tricky one because you've got rain, you've got wind, you've got sun, you've got all these elements that can impact your
Yeah.
hydroponic growing. Yeah.
Yeah. And for those indoor grows, I mean, I feel like hydroponics really uh, got the boost that it did and the adoption that it did from things like marijuana and so on and so forth that people are growing indoors, and that makes sense for that type of controlled environment. You are literally meticulously hand picking every single element at which you're growing in. I mean, all the way down to the intensity of the light, the AC, the water, the nutrient cycles, all these things.
That's it.
So that method, flawless. Second you bring Mother Nature into it, you're fighting
Yeah.
forces at that point. But that ebb
That's
and
it.
flow
That's
method
it.
that you mentioned that your friend does, it's a little bit like an ebb and flow slash cracky method. It sounds like that would
Yeah,
be extremely beneficial because then you're not running into a lot of the same issues that you would have with just say straight cracky.
that's it. That's it. So you've got like the water that's constantly there. It doesn't like drain out, and you obviously have a big reservoir somewhere that pumps into, and it just recirculates back. And the only thing that could be a problem is if you have a power outage or something like that.
Yep.
But in South Africa, we had this thing called load shedding. It hasn't been there for a while. It's basically where they take hours of the day, like 2 or 3 to 6 to 8, where they cut the power.
Mm,
I don't know, but we had that, and his plant still did pretty well. So as long as it has a deep enough reservoir on the bottom of the bucket, then I think they'll still survive. But it definitely helps with the recirculating water.
yeah. Yeah. No, that makes sense. Now, as you've been growing, obviously you mentioned really not being exposed to super hots until later on. And now, as you've started growing your own super hots, do you find or do you gravitate towards a specific super hot more so than another?
Not really, I would say. Let's just take last season, for example. I wanted to grow some super hot varieties. I was gifted some seeds. I wanted to grow like a butch tea because I mean it's one of the actual first super hots that I had eaten in that first competition. Butch tea, you don't see many of them around. I wanted to get some really really good. I mean, these seeds look like they came from good plants, and I wanted to get that original shape. So um, it's not really a specific type of super hot that I like. I mean, this next season coming, I'm growing a ton of crazy looking varieties, So
Yep.
with exceptional heat, and I think that's just to. It's not something that I would go. I mean, I'm not like a super fan of like Carolina Reaper or any of those things. I like the crazy hot ones that are like old school style, like big black mamas or, just things that are gonna burn you up.
Yep.
Um, that's kind of what I like, but also with good flavor. I don't want to be. I went through a phase where I only grew a lot of the dark foliage, super hots and peppers,
They're beautiful.
but they are. I mean, I've got one of my own crosses, not super hot, but almost there. That's a dark foliage variety. Um, Obviously something I haven't released, but it's just for me to enjoy and to the black and the black striping on the pods and the black foliage is just something else. You know, it's
Yep.
really enjoyable. But I don't gravitate to a specific type of super hot. I think anything that has a good flavor and a fair amount of heat. I mean, I'll like.
Yeah. Speaking of black foliage, peppers in general, there is one in particular that stood out, and I have still the same seeds that I pulled from for that. But what's interesting is I believe so. I got one variety that said Brazilian Maruga, and I had another one that said Brazilian Ghost. And so tried to
Mm,
grow both. The Maruga seeds just looked like normal Maruga. I don't know what happened. It wasn't what was initially said. So whatever, got rid of those seeds. But the Brazilian Ghost is the one that just floored me because I was just thinking like, oh, okay, well, what kind of iteration of the Ghost am I going to be expecting? Well, not knowing what to expect going into it, only to find out that the seedling had the darker foliage, it had the dark hue around the leaves, and so on and so forth. So I was like, all right,
mm,
this will be interesting. So I let that one grow out. It was very, very plentiful with the amount of fruits that it gave, but it also had that dark characteristic through it. So it was a deep, bright red, right? But it had that
yeah.
dark undertone in there, and it was the most beautiful. Now, it was a little bit more floral than I wanted in a ghost, but a beautiful pepper, nice fruity punch. But I have tried to grow other seeds from that same seed stock to see. None of them have been dark. And I kick myself every day for not grabbing seeds from that. But I just thought, well, I got 30 others. Like, what do I need to collect seeds from for this? but it
Yeah.
seemed to be a
So
one-off.
you probably find you had like an F2 or something like that, or F1 seeds or something like that. Like it had crossed in somebody else's garden when you got it,
Yeah.
and yeah, that's the thing about selections is you're not always guaranteed of what you see. If somebody sends you F1 or F2 seeds, it's unfortunate if you don't save the seeds from that. And I sometimes do that. I get lazy and just not harvest them and just use them all for processing and making sauces with spices, and then you just forget to do it, and yeah, then you kick yourself later because you can't replicate what you had growing.
Yeah, yeah, it was. It's definitely one of those that slipped through my fingers, and I'm sad that I let it happen. But is what it is. There's plenty of other great varieties out there.
Yes,
People are constantly introducing new varieties. You know, you have the issues of people renaming and all this other stuff and causing confusion. But with that aside, there are constantly new peppers that are coming into, whether it be discovery or released to the mass public, because so many are
there's
just,
probably like thousands of varieties every year that's getting released or coming into the scene or something like that. So
yep.
there's still plenty of other things,
Oh yeah.
beautiful dark foliage varieties that are just, you know, soon. I mean, there's people doing interspecifics these days that
Yep.
are, crossing like um, the Bacatums with the Charnents and the Annuums with the Charnents. So it's you never know what you're going to get. It's always exciting.
Yeah, it definitely is. Now, obviously, we've kind of talked a little bit about what your overall training looks like and everything you have going on. Do you find yourself gravitating towards a specific pepper that you really like to eat and consume on a more daily basis?
Excuse me. So the daily chilies that I like to eat are these. I actually keep them on my table because they're dried and ready to go. Are Thai orange, and
Oh,
I just
nice.
I just eat them with everything. I can make put them on a pizza or put them in the food, Thai food, anything. You just break them up and they just snap so easily. They even dry on the plant. So it's like your Thai varieties and things like that. Or Bacatum varieties like I grew the pepper peach stripe last season was delicious, and some other ones like more of the sweeter. Yeah, I prefer like sweeter, more flavorful peppers. But when it comes to, if I'm gonna spice something up, I'll either grab a hot sauce with a good amount of flavor, not something that's just gonna because you get these hot sauces out there that are hot with no flavor whatsoever. And I think people that produce them actually can't taste the flavors when they're
Yep.
producing something that hot because they don't know what's in there. They've added the ingredients, but they don't know what it actually tastes like. They just release it as a super hot sauce. So something with a balance of enough heat and enough flavor, sauce wise. But snacking chilies or peppers are my Thai varieties or the bacatums, which I can literally eat, just walking around the garden. Um, yeah, so those are my favorites.
All right, I like it. I definitely like that. Now, we've kind of touched on quite a bit here, but I do have a very fun game plan, so we'll get to that here in a second. The other thing that I was going to ask is, you know, with you're doing the competitions, you're growing as well as like now you're also building up, which we touched on earlier, the knowledge base of those individuals that are online. Do you find yourself more in love with the idea of the competition side? Do you find more passion
Okay.
and love and drive in fostering the growth of others online and like contributing to the online groups, or do you find that the idea of like growing and being able
Yeah.
to cultivate and all that?
So my favorite thing to do is just growing the plants and watching them. I don't even like picking the pods that much, just growing them. But I equally love helping people where I can, you
Hmm.
know, with the knowledge that I have. I can't help them with more experience than what I have. I can just help them with the experience that I have, the actual experience that I have, and then also competing at competitions. I do like it. I always like to push myself and I get very competitive. I'm a very competitive person, so there's that aspect of it. But I really love growing the chilies and helping people where I can, and helping people to save money when growing. So I'll make a lot of my own fertilizers, if not like 99% of them. Make my own soil and everything. Just helping people either save, helping people grow better. I like to do that, and growing the plants themselves. Picking certain varieties now that I've grown plants that produce a ton of peppers is not always the most fun thing,
Yep.
but I like to take pictures of them and try different chilies. So it's all kind of part of the thing. I mean, I enjoy everything pepper related, and improving the soil as well. So I've gotten into that after um, learning more about the soil, because the soil of growing actually is what makes the plant.
Yep.
If you don't have the right soil, you can put whatever you want in there. You can put hydroponic fertilizers, synthetic fertilizers, whatever you want. More fertilizers, less fertilizers. It's not going to make the plants grow better. But it all starts in the soil. So
Absolutely.
that's it. So that's basically, I like it all. I'm an all round. I love everything chili related. The competitions, the growing, helping people where I can, and seeing people do better from the advice that you've given them. You know,
Yep.
it's yeah, all of it, I think.
All right. Well, I asked that question specifically because this upcoming game, you will need some of that knowledge to be able to help make your
Okay.
selection.
Okay.
So let's do this. Let's go ahead and flip it on over to the game. All right, here we go. We have a very special curated version of Keep 5, Cut 5. So, for all of those that
Mm,
this is their first time checking this out, I will go ahead and explain it here. There are 10 images on the screen. All of them have numbers for those individuals that are just audio listening only so they can keep up with this. And the way this is played is you either start with a keep or a cut. And what you're going to do is you'll just alternate. So if you start with a keep, then the next one you'll do is a cut, and then you'll go from back to a keep and then a cut. And we'll kind of talk through some of these as we go. Now, up first, number one is, well, that's the chocolate primo tali. Number two, this is, I just typed in to get a good
okay.
representation of South African mountains and also beaches. And I was mind blown at the fact that there was also a mountain right on the beach, if you will. And so that is there for that reason. Number three is, well, the peri peri pepper. So, of course, had to have that there. And number four, well, this one made the list because of your most recent African belt that you had won. This is a cigar. I saw you there with a big old cigar, celebrating, so that
Yeah.
made the list. And then, well, number five is I ended up looking up a popular South African dish, and this is the oh gosh, I'm probably gonna butcher it, but the baboti or
Yeah, close enough. Babuti.
babuati. Okay, there we go. And then, of course, number six, I had to place this one in there to tug on the heartstrings. And this is a image of your dog. So this is just represent dogs in general. So number six is your dog, and then number seven, well, that's your belt. That's winning that title. A few of these gonna have to see how these tug on your heartstrings. Number
Mm-hmm.
eight is the KSLS. So King Star Cross there. Number nine, this is just to represent growing in general. So like just growing peppers, growing crops, etc. And then number 10, well, the habanero for many reasons that you had mentioned before, that being the one to kind of catalyst you into the overall competition side, your preparation. So
Yeah,
here we
ready
go.
to go.
Where would you like to start? A keep or a cut?
Um, cut.
All right. What would you like to cut?
Okay. I would like to cut the chocolate primatali.
All right. Chocolate primatali's gone. Not a fan of the flavor, or what is?
I haven't grown it, but you know what? I will grow them, and this next season coming, and yeah, let's
All
just
right.
say that I don't think it's the hottest pepper that
No.
people are speaking of.
I think
So
that it's
I'm
up there in
growing
the
it to see.
conversation.
Mm, I am seeing it. I am growing it next season to see if it is the hottest. But you know, it's all relative. You know, you could grow something in like two different places, and you know whether it's hot or not. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
Definitely
Okay.
makes sense.
Let's go to the keep. I will
Okay.
immediately go to my dog number 6. I
Yep.
think it is.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. That deliberately
Okay.
staged that in there to eat up a keep. So, here we go.
Yeah. Um, I love my pets. Okay. So another cut. Those habaneros.
All right. Easy enough.
Yeah. I don't prefer the taste of habaneros, but well, at least those orange or yellow habaneros. The
Yep.
chocolate ones are good, but and the red ones. But those yellow habaneros have got that like bit of a sickening smell and taste to them, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, okay, and we'll keep the growing
All right.
in general.
Growing is kept. There we go. Now we can do either a
Okay,
keep or a cut.
let's do a cut
All right.
on the championship belt. The reason being is because I can always win it again. You know,
There we
there's always
go.
something to obtain. There's always something to obtain.
I like it.
Okay, a keep. Yeah, keep on the cigars.
Okay. Do you have a preference on your cigars? Are you preferential to a certain type?
I love the Dominican and the Nicaraguan cigars. You know, the more of the milder, the nuttier, the creamier type cigars. I don't like anything that's gonna put hairs on my chest, if you know what I mean.
Yep. No, I get it. Those are good. Those are good cigars as well. So I like them.
Rather more flavorful, you know. Okay, let's keep the. Oh no, wait. Let's do a cut.
All right.
Yeah, let's cut the babuati meal.
All right.
It's not a bad meal. It's very tasty. It's not bad. It's just not my favorite.
It
You know?
seems like it would be a great one to be a vessel for, say, hot sauce, to be able to kind of soak up in there. Does that sound about right?
That has got it's got like mince and egg and like raisins. So
Okay.
it's a bit of a weird combination, I think, for a hot sauce. You know,
Yeah.
but
Okay.
without a doubt, hot sauce makes everything taste even more amazing. Okay, let's keep the South Africa, obviously. I
Okay.
love country. South Africa is a beautiful country. There's so much to see and explore, and you know, some people might think about all kinds of things, crime and government and stuff like that, but it's an amazing country. You know, you can't beat home. Okay, ooh, let's cut the Kang Star Lemon Starburst.
I like it. There we go. And by
And we'll
default, we
keep
are
the peri
keeping the
peri.
peri
Yeah,
peri. Very
that's
nice
it.
selection. I like what's going on here. Overall, I think that this makes perfect sense as to your overall selection. I like the thought
Mm.
process behind it, and definitely speaks to everything we were just kind of talking about as far as your overall preference there. So, fun way to kind of break up the overall interview and have a nice mental reset. So, hopefully, you
Definitely.
enjoyed Keep Five, Cut Five.
It was great. It was great. Thank you so much.
Well, now here's your chance to do a nugget of knowledge. What we will gear this one towards is let's gear this towards those individuals that are, um, you know, Very much to kind of already talked about this a little bit, but very much for those individuals that are just kind of getting into it. Maybe their only exposure to peppers and really kind of dabbling into spicy things, or plateauing at about that habanero level. What would be your advice to them out there that are maybe on the fence on whether or not they try something spicier?
Hmm. Okay. So those people that have a lower tolerance and are wanting to try increase maybe their tolerance to try something spicier, what you could do is, if you only got access to those certain peppers, like say like habaneros or something milder than that, then eat those peppers. Eat more of those peppers. Start with the basic ones, master a level. So you've got like your Thai, and then you've got your peri peri, and then you've got your habanero. You know, get to the most maximum. Um, Eat those habaneros. Just build your tolerance up over time. You don't have to build it up in a day or a week, but get more comfortable with eating those, the hottest that you can find or the hottest that you can try. I mean, you can slice the habanero in half. You can put on a roll or a sandwich or something like that, or on food. But get more comfortable with eating that the highest Scoville rating pepper that you can. Once you've got to that point, then you can start to play with higher sauces. So you don't have to rush yourself. But eating something hotter than your your limit will definitely help boost your tolerance. And if it is burning, let yourself know you can grab that milk, you can grab that water or whatever people use to cool down the heat. But, you know, give yourself about a minute or two before you do that. And that will help increase your tolerance. And then the next time, give it 5 minutes before you grab the milk or something to cool yourself down. Just build your tolerance slowly. You don't have to do it fast. You don't have to do it quickly. Just get used to eating something um, as high as you can, the heat level that you can, and then work from there. Then little push by little push, you can climb and boost your tolerance. You don't have to go all in one go. But if you enter a spicy or chili eating competition, your tolerance will be raised. And once you have completed the competition, no matter where you completed, where if you made it halfway or 5 rounds, your tolerance will definitely be hotter. And then you can work on that. Try and keep your tolerance level at that level, even if you can't get access to pods. Do the hot sauces, tinctures, spicy powders, chili powders. Um, so yeah, there's a bunch of ways to do it, and obviously you don't have spicy for a number of months. The tolerance can dip down a bit,
Yep.
but if you know that you've handled that before, it's easier to get there.
Absolutely. Very
Okay.
well said. Great nugget of knowledge there. Now, here is your chance to put someone on the hot seat. Obviously, you were nominated for the hot seat. This is someone that you think would make a great guest for the show.
I know there's a bunch of people that have already been on the show already. I would say I don't think he's been on the show. Um, a grower, a guy by the name of Brian Hamilton, and he grows these monstrous chilies as well. And he's one of those guys, and yeah, he helps people, and he grows crazy plants in a short growing season. So I think he would have like be able to help people with the knowledge of people that have got short seasons. He's got like a 3 or 4 month maximum growing season. He's achieves like huge plants. So he's a fantastic grower. He shares his knowledge, and he's a friend of mine. So yeah, definitely.
All right. Well, thank you for that
Brian.
nomination. Brian, I'll be reaching out. We'll be setting up a time to have you on the podcast. And once again, thank you so much for that nomination. Now, this last part here is really beneficial for those that are just audio listening only. Where can everyone find you? How can they keep up with what you have going on? And if you want to, mention anything that you have coming up, this is a great opportunity for that as well.
Yes. So I only really have 2 or 3 social media platforms. I mean, I don't get involved in all the TikToks and things like that. So I'm on Instagram. as Capsicum Connoisseurs. I know it's a long thing, a long name. I need to shorten that, Capsicum Co. or something like that. But Capsicum Connoisseurs on Facebook, Instagram, and on YouTube. I think YouTube is Capsicum Co. But I need to buff up the YouTube a little bit. And yeah, so I've got a League of Fire Intercontinental title belt match happening at the end of August. So next month, 31st of August, I'm competing in the League of Fire Intercontinental title belt match against the um, champions from around the world. So I'll be there, and yeah, that's pretty much. And or you could just search Royce McCain and find me on Facebook like that. But I try not to overcomplicate things by being on too many social media accounts, and yeah, I'm
Well,
just keeping it real.
yeah, no, no better way to do it than just to be yourself and be true to you. So, absolutely amazing. Honored having you on here. It's been an absolute pleasure, and still so much more we
Thanks
can
for having
talk
me.
about. There's a lot of conversation in any avenue of the Chili Head life because you're definitely
Yeah,
living it, and would love to have you back on the podcast and dive a little bit deeper.
definitely. It's been great. Thanks very much for having me. I'd be happy to come back and, like you say, dive a little bit deeper. And yeah, it's been awesome. Thank you so much.
Royce, thanks so much for coming on the podcast. It has been an absolute pleasure having you on the podcast here tonight. If you want to keep up with Royce and everything that he has going on, I will have his direct links down below so you can check out and keep up with everything that he has going on. As well as if you enjoyed the products that were featured here on Hot or Not, I will have the direct links for those down below, as well as a link to the main site so you can check out the full lineup of amazing products. Thank y'all so much, those that have just recently discovered the podcast and those that have been rocking with us since day one. Y'all are true swear citizens and want to continue to share this out with other like-minded chili heads or individuals that are curious about the world of hot, because this is where you can find everything to do with the world of hot. New episodes drop every Tuesday and Thursday night at 8 p.m. Central. And quick shout out to our sponsors, podvision.io. If you're looking to grow your brand, start your brand, you've hit a bump in the road, you're trying to figure things out, highly recommend checking out podvision.io for all of those needs, as well as, well, webdx.one. If you have an online site, maybe you had somebody at one point, maybe you lost contact with them, maybe you just never got around to building out your own site. Highly recommend checking out webdx.one. They make it simple, painless, get you looking great without having to take you away from what you do best. So highly recommend checking out webdx.one for all of those needs. I'm Brandon Swear, and from everything from the world of hot, this has been The Swear Word.